Hi there, Laura here, the founder of Get Organized HQ, and let's talk about organizing your digital photos. I was chatting with my mom who said she had 16,000 photos on her camera roll, and I know some of you have even more than that. So getting them organized and enjoying them is really important. And I want to share some mistakes that a lot of people make when they're trying to corral all of these digital photos. And I also have something for you if you're interested. I have a guide to organizing your photos. It covers both digital and physical photo organization. It's really affordable. The link is down below if you want more help on that after you watch this video. The number one mistake I see people making when it comes to digital photos is wanting to keep them all. Again, they don't take up that physical space, so why not keep them all? This is the number one biggest mistake you can make. Just because it's not like a physical thing you hold doesn't mean it's not taking up mental space. It's taking up digital space, like literal, space on a hard drive or the cloud or wherever. And also, by keeping them all, it's making it harder for you to use and enjoy them. Because when you want to go find a picture of, say your son, because you're making him a scrapbook page for his preschool class, ask me how I know, you don't want to have to look through 48 pictures of him blowing out his birthday candles and, 12 of which his eyes were half closed to be able to find one, right? You want to go right to, oh, these are the favorites. These aren't a bunch where people's eyes are closed and that are all blurry. You want to be able to find them quickly and easily. And you also just want to be able to enjoy them. So keeping them all is the number one mistake I see people making. All right, this is the one that I have been personally guilty of, and that is over-categorizing or over-labeling the pictures, because you're going to organize them. So don't you want them to be really organized? And then we can go crazy trying to add labels of, say, the person it is, the type of event, where it was taken, whether it has this activity or that activity. And what ends up happening when we do that is we just spend way too much time organizing. And in my case, and in many cases, I just couldn't even keep up. So I didn't actually get through that many, and I didn't get to take advantage of the system. It required a lot of my time. And the other problem is that a lot of the labels we use are a little bit ambiguous. Like, okay, so this is let's say you have a category of sports and it's your kids playing sports. That would be like a logical category to have. But what if you go and watch a sports game? Should that get the category of sports? Because really, you kind of meant your kids playing sports, but that is technically a sport. And so we get all caught up in it because, again, it's ambiguous. Or what if it was a family vacation, but you stopped somewhere on the way home to visit someone else? Is that part of the same family vacation, or is that another type of event? Don't really know. So any kind of ambiguity with any system is going to make it super hard to stick with and harder to find them. So instead, I like very simple systems, and I like to go with just the date. There is no question. The metadata in the actual photo itself usually includes the date, so we all know when that is, and that's just going to be the easiest, most straightforward way to find things. Another huge mistake we make when it comes to digital photos is just not using them, like not printing them, displaying them, not hanging them on our walls, or making a family yearbook, or just not having it to where we can enjoy them. And they're just sitting on our phones, but we don't necessarily get to enjoy them. And all the things we're talking about here are going to help make it easier to enjoy them. Another mistake that I have made, and I want to save you from this, is creating a system of organization that you can't do on your phone. So when I first got into photography, I wanted to use Lightroom, which is at the time was only accessible on your computer, and there's still a version that you can't access, on your phone. And so I wanted a system that involved all this tagging there, and that's a huge mistake because you want it to be really easy to keep up with your system, and you want to be able to do it from anywhere, from your phone, while you're waiting for something, like while you're in the car rider line waiting for your kids, or while you're at the doctor, or while you're on vacation sitting on the beach. You can just easily maintain your system. You don't want it to be something where you have to go to a certain computer to do it. Now, this is one that probably not as many of you are guilty of, but I did it, so I want to mention it here, and that is using your fancy DSLR cameras. I have fancy cameras for doing YouTube videos and for, work-related stuff, And when I first got them, of course, I was all excited about them and I wanted to take all these family photos with them, and I did, and it was fun. I enjoyed photography. But the deal is, I never got those photos organized. They are somewhere. Are they on a computer? I don't really know. Are they on some of those little memory cards somewhere? I guess so. I don't know. So it just made it so difficult to use them. And I heard someone say one time that she had stopped using her DSLR camera and used her phone instead. And I'm like, you know what? It is far better that I have my pictures, that I have access to all of them. Our phones these days take very good pictures, and the best camera, as they always say, is the one you have with you. So I encourage you, if you are a DSLR person, maybe take fewer with them, especially if you're not taking that time to get them off the camera and put them in with all your other photos, and now you have photos over here and photos over there. I just stopped using it. Of course, you know you have a lot of digital photos. Most of us do, but don't ignore the video that you also have. This is a mistake I've made, is just worry about the pictures and then what I'm gonna do with all these cute little videos of my kids saying something cute or doing something cute or making the winning play at a sports game or something like that. So make sure that you're not ignoring your digital videos. And speaking of not dealing with things, another thing that happens is we kind of just forget that our physical photos exist. Now, some of you may be young enough that you don't really have a lot of physical photos, in which case, great for you. But if you are anywhere close to my age or older, you probably have a lot of physical photos where, yeah, you know, back in the day when you actually had that like roll of film and you had to go take them to the store and get them developed. And we don't want to just ignore those photos. We need a system for those as well, and ideally one that blends the prints from that system with printing some of our digital photos so that we can still enjoy those. And I know that this is a big job. I'm not saying that I think in 1 week you should be able to clean all of this up. I just want to make sure that when you're thinking about your system, that you're also considering those physical photos. All right, I said the number one mistake was trying to keep all of your digital photos. This is probably the number two mistake, and that is trying to start way in the past. So we have a lot of photos and we're like, let's go back to the year 2000 and let's start, you know, applying the system to all of our photos. And then we feel like we can't organize any that we're taking right now until we get through all that. That's a mistake. Instead, start with like literally today. Whenever you come up with your system or your plan, start with today and keep up to date. So starting now, you're gonna be, you know, keeping your photos up to date. You're gonna delete the ones that you don't need on a regular basis. And then you can go backwards from there as you have extra time. And even if you never got to those, it would be better that you started today and then for the next few years had them organized rather than trying to start way back in the past and not getting there. And then as I do try to address a backlog, what I like to do is start close to now and kind of go backwards instead of like going back to whatever the beginning is. Instead, I would say like right now, this is 2024. So start, you know, in 2024, and then once you have 2024 done, then go to 2023 and do that until it's done. Then go to 2022, do that until it's done. That's kind of how I would recommend if you want to organize your backlog. And to kind of go along with that, another big mistake is just not building this organization into your daily or at least a weekly routine, because it is a lot of work if you wait 6 months before you look at your photos and try to organize them. And by organize, I really mean the number one thing is just delete the duplicates, delete the blurries, delete the ones you don't want. You need one, at most two of your kid blowing out their candles. You do not need 52. Even if they were all good, you need one. So go ahead and do that on a regular basis. I like to do it daily as much as I can, but I don't put it in my routine so much that I stress if I go a couple days that are busy and I don't do it. But again, it's something that I'm doing on a very regular basis. It's one of the things that like when I get in bed at night, if I'm watching a show or if I'm just kind of relaxing, I like to delete any of the extra photos that I took that day. When I'm waiting in lines and things like that, just get that as a regular part of your routine, and then that's the bulk of the work done for you, because now you do not have a bunch of duplicate photos. Speaking of not having 50 million photos of every single event, another mistake is just taking too many pictures. I think we've all been guilty of this. For one thing, I feel like you can get taken out of the moment because you're too focused on getting the perfect shot and you're not just like enjoying the moment. And you may miss something someday that you're like, oh, I wish I had a picture of that, but it'll always be in your memory. Like no one can take that from you. And so don't get so obsessed with taking the pictures that you're not in the moment. And the other thing with that is that The more pictures you take, the more work you are creating for yourself. And I kind of like to think of it as in, like, when something is happening, it seems really important. Like, I want to remember every little detail of this birthday party or every little detail of whatever. But a year from now, what pictures would you really want to have? Do you really want 52 pictures of your kid turning 6 and another 58 of them turning 7 and another 102 of them turning 8? Do you really want that? I don't think so, because you're going to enjoy it more if you have just a few that you can display or put in a memory book. So let's work on cutting down the number of pictures that we take. I also really like to get a couple to remember the occasion by, and think of what is it that you want. Be intentional about it. So when it comes to the birthday party, what do I want to remember? I definitely want a good photo of the birthday person. Like, well, I want to see how they change year after year. So I'm going to prioritize making sure I get a good picture that's in focus that shows them. I usually want to show the environment, whether they're in it or not. Like, what was the theme? How did we decorate? What would the cake look like? So I'm going to make sure I get a really good picture of that shows what that is. And then a lot of times I like to have one with me and the child, because I do not get in a lot of photos. I'm not in many of them. So that's one time I like to make sure that they're going to get a picture with me, so they don't grow up and realize they have, like, literally one picture of them and mom. So I do that. And then beyond that, I realize the rest of it I don't care as much about. I don't care about every single guest that came there. You may, and that's fine. Put that on your list of things that are important. I don't care about every single gift that they got. We don't need a picture of them unwrapping every single one. That's not as important. Now, again, if I knew there was some really meaningful gift that they were being given, then I might, make it a point to take a picture of that. But I think by deciding what things are important to you and what you're going to want to remember in a year, 10 years, 20 years, it's going to make you feel better about not just constantly taking pictures of everything, because this is what I want. I'm going to get those pictures, and then I'm not going to need to worry about it. So if you feel like you've made these mistakes, you are not alone, and I have help for you. We have our guide to photo organization. It's really affordable. I'll leave a link to it down below. It covers both how to organize your digital and your physical photos.